Everyone, this is Ian Miller of the Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. Welcome. Tonight we have two special guests with us to talk about a Kickstarter project that one of them is starting tomorrow morning. It is the Bladeshot Kickstarter, and we have the creator here with us. Please welcome Ben Worrell. Hey Ben, how are you?
Hello. Hi, doing good. How are you?
Good, pretty good. Very excited to have you here with us tonight, folks. Man,
Thank you.
very excited. We also have
Thanks.
another very special guest with us. He, of course, is the inker of Codename Hunter. He's a talented man, very talented man. He nicknamed himself, or people nicknamed him, the Inker Daddy. Please welcome what I like to call the Inker Extraordinaire, Enrique Lopez.
Good evening, Ian. Good evening, Ben. How are y'all doing?
Fantastic.
Doing good.
Yeah, looking good, guys. Looking good. Getting ready for tomorrow. Here we go. And after we really dissect, that's a good word. Dissect Ben's new book. We're going to talk about another project Ben and I are doing. But that after we discuss the other stuff. So keep it here.
All right, absolutely. So let's get to it. Ben.
Cool.
Bladeshot, please tell us what it's about.
Okay. Well, Bladeshot, I guess if you were to just do the elevator pitch for it, she's a superhero with a transforming suit of magical armor and a gun that shoots knives that she uses to kill giant kaiju monsters, all of whom have varying degrees of tentacles that they use to terrorize the cities around the globe. So that's Bladeshot in a nutshell. It was kind of born out of a night of drinking and playing video games with some friends of mine, and we were all just kind of talking about how much we liked anime and comic books from the 90s, where the costumes were very impractical and the situations weren't exactly trying to make like a point or a statement. It was really just about having fun and kind of creating something ridiculous. So taking that as the inspiration, we started talking about like the most ridiculous weapon that we could think of. And I was thinking that a gun that shoots knives was pretty out there. And so we just kind of took it and ran with it and wrote up a script with my buddy Brett. And I for about a month solid, I was just drawing and drawing and drawing. I'm sure you guys have been there where you just get really inspired by an idea and just like wanted to see where it went. And before we knew it, I had about 20 pages drawn, and we decided that it would be worth sending out into the world. So Bladeshot will be premiering on Kickstarter tomorrow, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. And it'll be 38 pages long total. So it's a really nice giant size first issue. It's a planned 6-issue series, and I can kind of go into the nitty gritty of it as we talk about it. But that's kind of the story in a nutshell.
Wow, that sounds incredible. Wow, a gun shooting knives out. That's insane. I never heard of that. That's like some Spawn stuff there, man. Wow.
Yeah, well, that would make sense. I mean, her design, Sadie, is the main character, and her design is really inspired from 90s books like Witchblade, Fathom, different books that really just kind of promoted like really powerful women who wore very impractical costumes, and that was kind of the basis of it. And the gun is huge. It's a head taller than Sadie, so there's really no possible way that she could wield it other than magic. So that's the explanation for a lot of what goes on in the book is magical artifacts and things like that. So.
Well, we actually have an image that was supplied to us by our one of our gracious hosts, of course, you, Enrique, because you inked this. So let's actually show them what we're in for.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, so this was drawn by Stephen Palawa. He's local in Denver, Colorado. And of course, Enrique inked it, and then I did the colors on it. And yeah, this really shows off basically what you can expect with the book. Her suit of armor is based off of sort of nanotechnology that's infused with demonic magic, and so it sort of comes out of the Bladeshot gun. You see that circular part that's right in the middle.
Yeah.
That's what she carries with her around, and then when she's ready to transform, that is what actually supplies the suit. And that's what the gun kind of transforms out of that as well, and so it's supplied with 100 magical knives, which she uses to attack the monsters that are sort of unleashed from this alternate demon realm, and when she's out of ammo, she's able to recall the knives back into the gun as well. So it's sort of like a vacuum of knives after she's out of ammo. So yeah, the story kind of starts out with her as just an ordinary college student who has an estranged relationship with her father, who happens to be a scientist working in a lab where he inadvertently opens up a rift to this demonic realm, and he gets sucked into it, and sort of his genetic code is mapped onto the Bladeshot weapon, and so Sadie's the only other person on Earth who can operate it. So she links up with Nozomi, who is her father's lab assistant, and together they kind of embark on this journey to kill 6 giant monsters, each of which killing them breaks a seal that will allow her to travel to that hell dimension and hopefully rescue her father.
Wow, that sounds incredibly insane and exciting at the same time. If this was a movie, the gun would definitely have to be made out of CGI, at least part of it, because there's no one on Earth that actually can wield this much gun. Maybe there is, but
No.
wow.
No, I mean, when I got the piece to work on, I was like, okay. And it's like, because it's cool, because when I did the work, the first thing I worked on was on the gun, because I thought, you know what, the gun was actually pretty detailed, and it really had to go in there. I couldn't just freehand it. I really went into with the ruler and made sure everything was nice and straight, trying to make everything as realistic as possible and stuff. And then her uniform, I was wondering, like, what's happening to it. It's like it's blowing up and everything. It's like, I was thinking, is this here? Is these are sweat? I'll work with it. And so it was a lot of fun to work it. And then who doesn't like to draw and ink the tentacles, man? It's like that was like a freehand everywhere. And I was able to create some of those suction cups myself and give it some form. So it was a lot of fun to do it. And since I knew it was going to be colored by Ben himself, I figured it was going to be, I knew exactly what I could expect with my inks to be there. They were not going to be covered up like other colorists sometimes do,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just the way it is. But so a lot of the details were able to show up, which is what I like.
Wow, it looks fantastic. It really looks fantastic. Yeah, you guys did a great job.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and shout out to Steve. He definitely was kind enough to provide a cover kind of on short notice in time for our Kickstarter. So we did, and Enrique too. Actually, you hustled on this just this week. We completed it. So really cool, and it's actually so the cool thing about this, and the thing that I'm really hoping will connect with people. I was a really big fan of the video game series Mega Man, which I know everybody's heard of, but I always liked the idea that when he would kill a boss, that he would take a weapon from the boss and kind of gain an ability. And then that ability was always strong against another boss. It wouldn't necessarily tell you which one, but it would always be strong against another one. So I took that idea, and so every time Sadie kills a monster, she gains a new ability, and also it transforms her physical appearance as well. So if you check out the Kickstarter page under the covers gallery, you'll see the different transformations she goes through. And so I think that that'll be a lot of fun for the readers as they continue through the story, is seeing not only how her physical appearance changes, but also the new ability that she gets, and the abilities are going to kind of come into play as she fights these different monsters, which will allow her to kind of have an advantage, although each transformation also comes with a disadvantage as well. So there's going to be a lot of, I think, kind of fun to it as you kind of work out like what her strategy will be to kill these different monsters. So it is, like I said, it's going to be only 6 issues. This is not going to be a long ongoing thing. And once it's all done, we'll of course combine it into a volume so that people can just buy it like that as well. But we're really hoping that it'll connect with people kind of not only on the just kind of eye candy aspect of it, but also just like in the fun aspect of the story. I even say in the Kickstarter video that introduces it that I'm just really excited for people to just have fun with the comic and hopefully not learn any lessons or anything like that. That it's really just it's a for fun comic, and I hope people really get that.
Yeah, there's no morality here. You have no moral tales.
I don't think so.
You got to pay with shoot knives. I don't know what the moral of the story is going to be anyway. But
yeah, I don't think so.
What I like to, I want to tell, like, I remember when Ben approached me to do this, and he was like, "Are you free to do an ink cover?" And I'm like, "Oh, cool. Sure, man, I'll do it for you. It's not a problem." And then I get it, and he's like, I go like, "When do you need it by?" "Well, I need to have it ready for the 9th. I go like, "What?" And I'm like, "What?" And then that's the day I had my ankle got busted. I was like in major pain. I was like, "Oh, I can't do it." So I actually started it on Sunday when I was not so bad, and then I only did the gun. I only did the gun, and then on Monday, I said, "You know what? I'm just gonna ice this sucker down and just go through it, and not gonna look at anything for like 3 hours." All I did was just do the whole rest of the stuff, and I said, "Look, it's done."
Yeah, I was shocked. I thought I was gonna be coloring it like today, so I was shocked that it was done so quickly, and very thankful.
Did I not call him the inker extraordinaire? Did I not call him that?
I think you're supposed to call him Daddy.
Ink Daddy.
Still waiting on that.
It's one of the things that what helped on that piece in particular, though there were a lot of stuff that I did with the tentacles. There was not a complicated background that also helped. Though I did at one time think about, should I do some Kirby crackle and stuff in the back or something like that? Mess with it, but I'm like, let's leave it clean and like give it to the guy, because I'm sure he's going to put something in the background, which he did. So yeah, but I had thought about it at one time to maybe add something in there. But I liked that it was really clean. It was nicely done. But this is only one of the covers. I mean, how many you got? Like 10?
Yeah, 10 plus. Yeah. So there's the main cover that features Sadie in what we're calling just like the prime costume. This is the one that comes out of the box basically. And then you'll see her first transformation at the end of the first issue. But there winds up being, let's see, yeah, I think 12. I think we got 14 covers, because each cover has a kind of a naughty variant that goes along with it, and all of those are available as add-ons and everything like that. And actually, one of the costumes is a mecha,
That's all.
like kind of a Gundam style mecha suit that she gets. And that one actually has some secret variants that we're calling the greasy variants, because I always noticed in anime a lot of times when people came out of their when they came out of their mechs, they were always covered in like this, I don't know what you would call it. We just called it tech grease. But yeah, I always thought that was really funny because they were like dripping with whatever it was. And so we have one of those too. So I guess there's 4 variations of that one. So yeah, there's going to be a lot to pick from in terms of the covers. I did the pinups for like the majority of them, and then the co-author of the book, Brett, he did one, and then we got one by Steph Wilson. I don't know if you guys know him, but he does these really nice, very very animated looking pinups, and we were really thankful that he was available to do one because his is really rad as well. Each one's very different.
Because it's like it's almost like you could almost do like which Kickstarter he's not doing, because nothing against that. He's just like everybody's. He's like he's
absolutely
on true. Especially when they're like these pin up kind of stuff. Yeah, he's in all of them. He's a go-to guy.
He's a
great a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's awesome, and he's got such a great sense of humor, and his fan base is so like rabid, and they just love his stuff so much, and he's always great. We worked with him for my last book, Hate Punch, and he was really great, like through the whole campaign, just posting updates and directing people to the page and stuff like that. So he's just really, not only is he a great artist, but he also is really kind to the creators as well, and I really appreciate that.
I think I was reading somebody else talking about that today, and it's like, I think when you get involved in these kind of projects as a Kickstarter and anything, I believe as an artist, a writer, inker, whatever, as long as you contribute, you should be involved in the promotion of it. You got to be in there, because some people say, oh man, not a lot of people did a lot of work on this, but then you should kind of like expected it. I mean, when I do a project, I'm always in it 100%. I will go one there. I'm assuming if it were me running it, what would I do? And I'm going like, okay, I'll do this, I'll do these promos. Because in my way of seeing is that if whoever's working, doing the project, like in this case, Movie Ben, is successful, and he saw that I promoted it, maybe he'll say, hey, maybe I should bring this guy back just so he can help promote. Like, just bring him in. And I get a lot of projects because people say, he's such a good promoter, let's bring him in, because we know you're not only getting a good inker or a good drawer, you're getting a guy who will push it for you. And I think that's important. I think a lot of people, you have sometimes these great projects with really good teams, and you don't hear anybody talking about them except maybe one or two people. And you're like, there are 50 people involved. How can only 2 people are doing the work? And it's like, that's what I mean. Like when he was even today, he was like, "Can we get to 40?" I reposted it. Let's do it again. Let's see if we get 40. Let's see if we get there. And yeah, we got to 40. So 40 notifications. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
that's a lot more than we've ever had. So that's really great that people have been finding it and following it, and we're hoping to
that's the most
make this one. Yeah, that's the most in terms of the pre.
Oh really?
Pre-launch
how many did you get for Hate Punch?
I don't even remember. I'm sure we got a few, but I don't even know if we broke 10.
Wow.
So this is way more than we've ever had before. So yeah, pretty exciting.
So let me get this over here.
That's great. I can only imagine what tomorrow's going to bring.
Yeah. Launch day is always really nerve-wracking, as you guys know. But it's 30 days. I've got two shows. So I've got Colorado Springs Comic-Con is coming up next weekend, and then the weekend following that is Fort Collins, which is just a couple hours north of us. And those are 2 shows that I'm hoping to get a lot more eyes on it. It's always nice to be able to talk to people in person and be able to like really sell them on the project firsthand, rather than just them looking at the Kickstarter page. So I'm hoping to be able to get some folks on there that way as well. And I mean, I think that if people give it a shot and watch our video and flip through the covers and stuff like that, I think it's enough to get people hooked. I really do. I think it's absurd. It's funny. It's got the eye candy. I really think people will like it once they take a peek. So.
What's the funding ceiling you're looking at? I mean, what's the number you're looking at?
Yeah, we're going for 6K on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll help cover our cost for the colors, and obviously printing has kind of gone off the rails in the last year in terms of cost and just wait time. So we had to bump it up, and obviously it's a pretty thick book. It's going to be close to 40 pages, so it's almost a double issue. So we're we feel we kind of crunched the numbers and felt like that would be. Sorry, my kids are banging on the window right there.
That's all right.
Yeah, they're like coming and pressing their faces against the glass. Like, what are you doing? It's got to be more interesting than what we're doing out here. So that's one of those things that's always so difficult to gauge because you don't want to go. Some of you see some Kickstarters where the funding goal is so low and then they get so like astronomically higher than that. They'll like do a funding goal of like $1,000 and they get like 20,000. It's like, okay, so you just did 1,000 just so you could say that you were funded in 10 minutes, like that's probably what that was. But it's always hard to gauge, like you don't want to go too high or too low. So we usually just take a look at our costs and then, make the funding goal appropriate to that.
Yeah, because sometimes I see somebody had like $250. I'm like, really? It's like that is like funded in 10 seconds. It's like
exactly.
I don't know, but
right.
They cover. I mean, I hope they cover with whatever they got later after that. But yeah, but it's that's a good number. I mean, it's a solid number, and the alternatives are going to be there and stuff. So that should be about either at 11 a.m. or noon over here on the East Coast. It should be launching, I think. So, and I'm one of the 40s. I'll be informed immediately. Okay. So I'll be able to.
Right on.
So I'll be able to talk about it immediately. So that's going to be a lot of fun and stuff. But I think it's cool because when you got at least 40 people on an IP that nobody knows about, absolutely very unique. It's not like you were like spent a year building a brand about it. Like, look, it's coming. It's basically, wow, here it is. It's like, because I think we talked about it on my show that you were thinking about doing something on those lines. We talked about it either maybe it was not on the show, maybe backstage. We were talking about Bladeshot, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. That was like a few months ago. So I was like, how quickly
it went so fast. Like I said, I just got so interested. I've been drawing Sheath. That's my main book that I've been drawing for the last couple of years. And it's great. And I really love that story and I love the characters, but having the opportunity to do something that is just really outlandish and super violent and just like all these things that Sheath is really not. I think that just got me creatively just like really, really interested and involved. And I think that's ultimately what made me so productive, I think. So this one's going to be ready super fast too. Once we're funded, we'll basically just be waiting on the colorist to get done. So.
Yeah, because I remember that I think you still had the itch of after doing Hard Punch 2 that you were like that crazy action oriented. I think you still had it in you. Like, it had to come out this way. So I guess so. But this time it's a female. There we go. So
yes, exactly. Yeah, Hate Punch was definitely that homage to like the 70s and 80s B movies, and this one's definitely all about the ridiculous kind of maverick nature of 90s comics, which was when I first started reading. So.
And I think like when you were talking about the weapon, I was thinking that weapon is one of those things you probably see in a Dark Souls or one of those kind of like messes you up, Bayonetta.
Bayonetta is actually my
it felt a little bit of that,
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Bayonetta is my partner Brett. It's his absolute favorite video game series, and he's been waiting a real long time for the third one to come out. So he's pretty stoked for October, and that's absolutely, I mean, Bladeshot would make a terrific video game. It's like got everything. It's got huge bosses. It's got movement, kinetic movement. She's got these rocket boots that lets her kind of move with great speed and run up the side of buildings, and it's really rad. I mean, there's a shot that was really fun to make. It's on the Kickstarter. Oh, you guys can't see it. It's the preview page. But anyway, she's just run up the side of a building and is now falling from the sky, and you're seeing this aerial view of the city, and Gilithog, which is the first creature that she has to eliminate, is kind of whipping her tentacles up at her, and it's like, this is pretty cool. Like like not even the art, but just like the concept is really fun, and I think people are really going to dig it. I'm pretty excited to show this one off.
Well, you should be. You should be definitely proud of this project, and you clearly are. And it just sounds exciting, just on paper. Even just the elevator pitch, it sounded exciting. So I cannot see one person not wanting to back this comic and get an own a copy. I cannot see that happening.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be more than fine. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's always a big question mark, but like I said, 30 days from now, I'll have, I'll be a much more worn out and tired person, having worked hard for those 30 days to promote it. But I'm really hoping that it's a success and that people are into it, and it ends on a really nice cliffhanger that'll keep people, I think, really interested for what comes next. It actually has 2 cliffhangers now that I think about it. So I think it'll be fun, and I think people will really like it. So yeah.
2 cliffhangers. You get that, folks? 2 cliffhangers.
Yeah, exactly.
How rare is that in a comic? How rare is that?
It's like the second post credits. You got both. You got 2 stuff.
Yeah, you're absolutely. I never even thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's like you get the one mid credits, and then if you wait all the way to the end, then you get the the one at the very end.
The little extra one.
Yeah.
So I want to see if I can. I want to bring in now, since we're almost done about Bladeshot for now. There's another thing that as I helped Ben with this one, now he's going to turn around and help me on one of my projects, which is now for everybody should remember that this baby came out not too long last year, the Not So Fair Tales, which is the big book of anthology. Well, guess what? We're back, so we're going to do number 2. We're doing number 2, and the editor this year was pretty adamant. Was we say just do 1, because I have 3 stories in there last year. I'm only doing 1. We got to give more people opportunities to play. So, so I decided I really had a good idea, and this year is going to be Fable. We're going to adapt new style, take all these fables and make them in a modern take on them. Okay. The one I wanted to do was taken already by somebody else, so I went with my second choice, and then because I wanted to do sci-fi aspect, I really thought of Ben immediately, because we have done already a few pin-ups and stuff, prints from Star Wars, and I thought, I think Ben can handle this. So when I approached, I think I approached you before you approached me for the cover, but
maybe we approached each other
almost at the same time, and I was like, "Are you busy at this amount of time? This when you needed it done. It needed done by December." But he's saying like, "Oh, but I got time between here." And I'm like, "This is perfect." And so I actually sent him today the script, because I basically wanted to give him, as we discussed this, how he would prefer me to give him the script. That if he wants me to go like page 1, panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, or page 1, this is what I'm looking for. Page 2, this is what I'm looking for, and etc. He goes, I like the second version. So today I sent him that page 1, you're going to see this. Page 2, you're going to see this, and then let him have fun, because, for example, I already did, and I sent it to him because I did this here already, and so I already did the concept of the astronaut. Let me see if I can pull it up here. There we go. The astronaut uniforms for it, because it's a sci-fi story, and then there's going to be a male and a female, and then and I said, okay, this is what I'm looking at. And then today, while he read the story, he was like, "Oh, I can get this done quickly," because he noticed there's no major technology, there's no major backgrounds, it's all organic. It's rocks.
Yeah, it's rocks.
Rocks. That's it. And so it was like cool, because this is based off the fable of the crow and the pitcher, which is a crow is dying of thirst, and he can't reach into the pitcher of water to get the water out. So what he does is that he starts putting pebbles in it, raising the water level so he can eventually drink. Well, this one is basically similar in that one of the astronauts falls into a hole and his oxygen is giving out, and they got to pull him out. So we got to figure it out. So it's going to be a real quick. It's quick because they're only 10 pages, so it's a nice quick story. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to do, and it's going to be a lot of fun because the teams for this is great. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Because this is Ben's first time doing this with me here. Let's see what we have here. Oh no, wait a minute, it's not valid. Just fall out. Weird. That's weird. Yeah. I guess I didn't save it right. That's weird. Anyway, a lot of the guys from last year, John Mueller, Matt Parton, Matt Buddish, who worked with me, is going to have a story. Russell Nurtz is going to have a story. John Endifield, the editor, is going to have a story. Ryan Krabat. I mean, it is a who's who of independent writers and illustrators and stuff. It's a great group. I think it's going to be even bigger than last year as to volume wise. So it's going to be a lot of fun to do, and I'm looking forward to see what Ben could come up with. So I still gotta probably do a little more. I actually did the layouts. You know, there's somewhere around here. Let me see if I did I learned this from film school. You know, Ridley Scott would do this little Ridley-grams and stuff, and I adapt those things. I do them here. That's why I do storyboards. So I actually did my own storyboards like that, the panels, and these are the last two panels on the back. And that's from there I did the script. And I'm like, okay, let me fix this. It doesn't work. Let's try this. So everything I described for him was basically looking at my own pages. I'm going to see if he comes to him later. It's going to be a lot of fun. But the only thing I did tell him, there was one more that we're going to have to discuss. There's one panel that I really want to see if it's possible to make that look. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting how it's going to go. So I'm looking forward to working with my friend here, and I'm going to actually have to do the coloring on this one because I'm going to be doing inking and coloring. Yeah. So
double duty.
Yeah, triple duty because I'm writing it too. So it's like, but it's not the first time I've done that. So I was like, I've done it, and for this one, for the first volume, I actually did one story, did all of it: writing, inking, penciling, coloring. And the lettering's from my buddy Carlos Wangual, so he's going to do the lettering on this one. And apparently, I'll be doing the inking on Matt Parton's story in the volume 2. So in this one as well, which was a story that was supposed to be in last year's, but he got COVID, so he didn't finish it. He never got around to it. So this year we're doing it. So I'm like, okay. And he called me up and he said, "Are you gonna help me? You're gonna help me?" Okay, I'll help you. I'll add it to the list. Add it to the list. Yeah, because I'm doing this little book called Codename Hunter as well. So
Yeah.
I think I've heard of it.
Little book by that schmuck Miller for
some dude. Yeah, some dude. Like I'm doing stuff like that for him. So
cool. Enrique,
I love his
this
stuff.
is kind of. Sorry, Ian, go right ahead.
No, I said I love this stuff. I love how he inks my work. I love his inking. But please, Ben, go on.
I was going to say this is actually our first time since I've read the script for us to actually talk about the story. And I was wondering if you would care to talk a little bit about what's your inspiration for the sci-fi of this in terms of like the technology and like their suits and the the ships that we might see, or like how they might have gotten to where they came. Like what kind of things are inspirational to you?
For me, I think I actually did a posting about it, that it's my scratching my itch of my H.R. Geiger kind of look. That's where it comes from. Very barren. Everything's gonna be like that. So because this is such a short story, only 10 pages, all the things you're talking about are probably in the background that we don't get to see because we only have so much to say, for that. In the sense of, well, you will see a vehicle when they come in at the end, but we don't see it originally when they landed and all that kind of stuff. But the technology is very bulky. And the thing is that I'm still undecided because I like the design I did, but I'm kind of feeling that it fits another story I'm doing. So this one I might go a little more streamlined, or more like skin tight. So I still got to get you in that one in conclusion as to where I'm going with that. But this is like, I would see this a little bit beyond where we are as a technology. This is not like super future kind of stuff exploration. This is basically us doing our first Mars landing almost. It's not that hard far in the future. It's still pretty new. So, but my other story is the other one I'm doing for Horrendous, which is actually this one's over here. This is even more alien. This is the.
Yeah.
There we go. These are the guys. This is more of that in that vein. There we go. There we go. But this one I'm doing a little more work on it. So playing with the paneling, and you see. So this one, and then after that, let me see what the second page I'm working on. So you can see the layout. They're coming out already, like out of a stuff. So that one is more alien even than this one. And that's really going to mess people up. That's a horror one. So I like the uniforms I did for that on them. So I'm going to might redesign it for this, the one we're doing now. So, but it can't be too streamlined, because if we're trying to say nowadays, it's still pretty bulky. Our technology hasn't gone that far. So, because at one point I was thinking, do we want to go Adam Strange, Buck Rogers, that level of skin tight stuff, or do we want to go with the traditional, bulky, kind of stuff? So I'll get back to you. If not, we can probably keep the bulkiness, and you just design it on kind of how it fits around what I designed there.
Sure.
Over here on this side, I'm going to cheat on mine over here, because I'm going to have they're not going to have their visors down. I'm up all the time. They're going to be down. I don't want to have to draw faces, so I can avoid that. So I'm like, oh, so big. We got it down. Okay, keep it down, man. So it's like I'm doing that major cheat. And I don't care, because I got to do this quick. I only got until the end of the month.
So it'll kind of be like in the script, like like something big's about to happen. It's like, boy, it sure feels like a lot of danger's coming. Visors down. I feel like we're going to be emoting quite a bit. Let's make sure we get those visors down.
No, in yours you can have all the visors are up. Don't worry about it. In yours you're gonna have that. You can draw better than I can. You can draw better. Not a problem. Not a problem. No, but over here, this is more of the Horrendous story, which is called. I'm still debating on the title. We'll go with All That Glitters. These are just guys. We're basically trying to find some treasure and stuff, and of course a bunch of dicks each, and it's like you can just tell from it, and therefore certain things happen that it's going to have a nice little twist that I like to do at the end of stuff. So there will be a moral of the story. There will be a moral.
Whoa!
Oh boy!
Who does that?
Yeah, this will have it. No, but it's like going back to Not So Fairy Tales. It's one of those things that when I was thinking about the different options that we had, it's like I had thought about doing I didn't want to do the tortoise and the hare, because everybody wanted to do that one. We've done that too much. I had thought about the grasshopper and the ant, because I thought that could be really funny, really a good fun take on that. But somebody else took it, and I think they're going to do it. And the people who have it, it's going to be awesome. So I think they're going to do much better than I could have. But then I said, let me go as far left field as I can, where nobody will ask for this one. And then that's the one people thought. And when I looked at it, I go like, how can I get that aspect of this that I wanted to produce about something has to be dying? And I thought, well, it could be in the desert, it could be something else, I thought, man, space. I haven't done a space story in a while. Let's go with that. And that's where this one comes in. So hopefully it'll be a fun ride for people. And like I said, it's only 10 pages, so it's going to be short. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see what Ben can come up with. And I got a lot of work for it.
Well, sci-fi is right up my alley, like you said. And, not only in my personal interest, but just like in what I like to draw. And I'm stoked. I can't wait. I think it's going to be really fun.
and like I said, there's still a few. I just had to give him this today to really feel that we're on the same wavelength. That he felt comfortable doing what I wanted. Now I can fine tune it and send it in. Just have to send it in by the end of the month to the editor to make sure it's approved. But hey, it is me. You're not telling me I'm not getting it done. So, no, because last year, I didn't have a single problem with it. Actually, not except with one story, and it was because I wanted to put brief nudity, and he said no, which I later agreed to, and then there was a word that he asked me to take out. So in the unabridged version that I'll print someday, it will have it back in. So that's the only time we disagreed. But to be honest, his editor, John Endifield, he is really good in that I presented my pitches to him, and then when it came down to actually showing him the actual scripts, they were totally different. They were like, what is this? No, because I decided that this character didn't like it over there, so I'm bringing it over here, and I'm changing this from that. Because, for example, one of the stories that I pitched had the big bad wolf in it, and then we had Pinocchio as like a cop, and they were like in this interview, and I pitched him like thinking about Toons being interviewed like the Dark Knight episode, the Dark Knight clash between the Joker and the Batman. That was that scene. That's what I pitched him as the elevator. He was like, "Oh, that's great." And then I came back with totally different thing. He was like, "Wait, this isn't what you told me." I know, man, but I like this idea better. I'm giving the bad wolf, but look at it this way now. It's better. I think it's better. Okay, I'll take it. So what happens to this other story? Oh, I have to take that character out now because I'm using him somewhere else. So he was like, whatever, man. So I gotta send this one the way it is because I don't want to have an issue with him. He's very good with me and stuff, but I know I tax him. I'm sorry, John. I love you, man. But that's the problem of working with me as a writer. Because even for the one I'm doing now for Horrendous, man, I came up with the idea for it, and then I'm like sitting here and I'm like, wait a minute, I can do this now. I haven't drawn it yet. I can still do that.
Please forgive me, folks.
So I'm like, yeah, I keep changing it up because somebody will be like a real a-hole to me the other day, like, oh, I could put this guy in the story. Wait a minute. Let me draw him in here now. Yeah, I could do that now. I'm like, no. My wife's like, don't do that. I said, okay, baby, no problem. Think of your kid. I will. But it's like, it's constantly being revised 100 times. It's like, it's never final until it's on the page, and even then, it could be changed at the last minute. I might flip it up and change something, and I think I don't know if it's to consider it because we're talking. All of us here are writers. We're all writers here. We all write our own stuff. So I don't know if it's the right thing to be doing or not, but I never feel like I sit down to actually start working on something and the blueprint is finished. It's like there, but it's still a little bit of wiggle room here if I want to go somewhere else with it. Because right now, even this Horrendous one started one way, and then I go like, okay, this is where I'm going. I'm going to start drawing, and I'm like, wait a minute, this will be cool if I do it this way now. And I've switched the ending now. I've changed the ending again. I'm going, no, I think it'll be much more interesting if I do it this way.
Well, that's one of the really nice things I think for me when I write and draw my own stuff is I get through to a third or fourth draft of a script, and then I do allow myself to go ahead and start to draw. But being both the writer and the artist, I'm allowed to make changes on the fly right as I'm drawing it and be like, you know what, I think I'm going to delete this dialogue right now because it's just not working on the page. And and so that's something I think Ian probably relate to as well.
I do. What I find myself doing is when I'm actually writing the dialogue, I'm actually saying the dialogue out loud, as I'm writing it, just to make sure it sounds right, sounds legit. Because if it doesn't, I'm like, well, wait a second, I just wrote this. The audience, it's not gonna make sense. The audience is not gonna make sense of it. So this doesn't make sense. So I just rewrite it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
so that's the thing. You got to do it. Yeah.
I have to hand in a script for another anthology, which I got to get it done quickly because the idea is only in my head, but I'm having so much trouble because this artist, he wants me to be more specific about how everything's going to go. So I actually have to plot it down exactly everything. So, and the dialogue is not working the way I want it to. So I've had to switch it up so many times because the beginning is fine, the ending is fine. I mean,
yeah,
those two things it's the middle ground where it's the meat of this story. Because at the end of the day, this is a fantasy story, but there is a lot of talk about the modern stuff, about racism, about diversity, about how to deal with stuff. That's going to be in that story, despite the fact that we're talking about a fantasy world. So I need that stuff is still the correct tones and where they got to sleep, where the beats are, and the limitation of the pages. I need this amount for this action. I need this amount for this action, and then I feel like at the middle part it's got not enough area. It's got to find a way to concise it, and that's where I'm stuck. So I got to hand it in. The artist I'm using for that is Joe Critelli. He is more of a cartoonish kind of illustrator, which I think will be an interesting contrast to this theme. And you see this cartoon stuff, and you're like, wait a minute, what are we talking about here? So I think it'll be a nice little clash, and hopefully we'll get a few people off guard. Though I won't have these little surprise, crazy endings I'm usually known for. I think this time I want to catch people without they're thinking they're looking at one thing and go like, whoa, this is something a lot heavier than we thought it was going to be when this started. So it's like, yeah, hopefully it'll come around. That's for an anthology that's called Might and Magic and Monsters in Law, which is being run by Alan Bay, and that's going to be a lot of fun to do. And I can't wait for Joe to get in. I already sent him my character designs, and that's the ones I actually went online. I said, like, you see this picture of this woman, I like her hairstyle. You see this woman, I like this body type. You see this woman, this is the way we got it. This is the age. I did a lot more for him than I did for Ben. Ben's fine going like, I didn't get that,
Hey, I told you that's what I prefer, so there's no problem there. I really like being able to lay out my own panels, so no problem there.
But for these characters, these are my characters from 30 years ago. I have a story I wrote 30 years ago. Then I'm finally bringing to the pages. So I've been living for them for decades, so I know how they look. And the main character is going to show up of the storyline, and it's going to have a cameo in there. And let me see if I can, I think people will recognize this. I'm trying to work on this. And this is like a pinup I'm going to do for promoting it when it comes up, because there's a main story where the character will come out, and I'm trying to get a really cool artist involved. If I get him involved, then I'll have this one coming out in December as well. But this, I don't know if you guys can see it. There we go. Yeah. This is like...
oh, yeah.
You may recognize it because it is similar to one of my all-time favorites. The Warlord #3.
Oh.
Mike Grell's always been one of my influences.
Oh, that's nice.
So, and here you'll see the same kind of stance, the same kind of idea. That's my main character from my stories, Boland Highcliffe. And he's got a full length. I wrote 3 novels of that character. And so I'm hopefully going to start producing some of it. The way my schedule is looking, if I don't get a story done for this year, it's probably going to be until 2024, because my idea is to use the story in Might and Magic as one of the springboards. If I do this other story, will be another one. Then I'm going to go to, and they're back to back. This one ends in Might, and then this one will start in another issue somewhere else. The story will continue on that one. And then the idea is to go to about 200 years in the past to see the history of the mages of the storyline. Then we're going to go like into the future to in another story to see an adventure with another secondary character that things have happened already that have changed the world, and then a third story which will be the linchpin into the miniseries, which is called To Kill a King with that character, and then that'll take place 10 years after the events of these stories. So the whole idea is to have these like 5 stories in a mini anthology, which will be like the first issue, and then from then on we go into the new stuff. My dream was to have George Perez do the beginning of my story, but obviously things have changed for that, and it's not going to happen. But that was the dream. I actually thought I was going to ask him for it, but you never know. You never knew. Unfortunately, that will not happen at this time. But my idea is to get that first beginning of that storyline to be really impactful. And I mean, I've scared people. I've shown it to because there's a lot of horses, a lot of action, and people are like, nobody wants to draw horses. So I can't understand why. Nobody seems to. And I go to Keith. Hey, Keith, you used to do the Phantom. Don't you mind doing some horses? How many? I don't. I think you guys see an army of horses. What? No. It's like so. I don't blame him, man. It's gonna be that massive. And the thing is that when I wrote the story, and I know I'm taking up time here. I'm sorry, guys. When I wrote the story back in the 80s, the most we have ever seen of fantasy was Ralph Bakski's Lord of the Rings in animation. We had seen some stuff, obviously the Star Wars and stuff, but as fantasy, we had Excalibur. Obviously, that was a big influence for me. But outside of that, we hadn't had those big bombastic shows that we're now after the Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Game of Thrones. You just can't throw this stuff out there. Now people have an expectation of these things. So now I had to take the beginning of the story and upgrade it. Like now it has to be, instead of having this little thing, we have to have this big thing happening to really bring everybody in. So I have to expand it. It's like my sci-fi stories. There's a character I want to bring in here. And now I look at it and go like, well, now we have tablets. We have so much technology that's no longer applicable. When I wrote it in the 80s, I'm like, now I got to upgrade it. Totally different stuff. So it's one of those things that now all of a sudden, yeah, the guy, one of the guys in there was smoking a cigar, and I'm like, no, he might be vaping now. Somebody was posting a wanted sign. No, I think we're just adding to something on a computer screen now. You're going to see it happen. So much upgrading stuff has been done, and Ian should know. He does a sci-fi story, so we all know about that. So and you and Ben as well. So it's a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I got us some nice stuff going on in the year here. So Ben, so now is Bladeshot going to be taking over everything, or are you going to leave Sheath behind, or are you going to be?
Oh, no way. Yeah, Sheath. I'm already drawing Sheath number 9. That's already ongoing. So yeah, this will be. I mean, I have the story laid out all the way till the end for Bladeshot. If it's a big enough hit that I feel like an issue 2, should come rapidly, then we're set up for that. But if it's one of those things where, the Kickstarter is successful, I want to take some books to cons, build up the fan base a little bit, then we'll do that as well. But if it hits, we're set up to produce it pretty rapidly. So yeah, I think if people like it, we'll just move forward with it, because like I said, having a very self-contained story with a very finite ending is, I think, a lot easier to produce. So
yeah, I want to be back for another cover, man, for number 2. I want to be back.
Well, there's so many costumes to do, so like it really is, the sky's the limit for covers. So for sure.
Very exciting, Ben. I'm very excited for you. I can't wait.
Thanks.
That this book takes off the way which way I think it will. And Enrique, of course, I'm always glad that you inked one of his covers, because it looks fantastic. In fact, let's show the people one last time the cover again. Yeah, folks. Seriously, great stuff.
And again, this is probably not the best one of all of them. It's like there are a bunch of like at least 7 more.
Yeah, I think everybody will find something to like. I think
Yeah.
there's something for every interest and taste, unless you just don't like the character, in which case, she's on everything. But I do think that there's a lot of variants of art styles and costumes and stuff like that. So I think people will find something to like.
I find nothing wrong with that armor. I mean, it protects all the vital parts. Let's be clear.
Sure, absolutely. I think what's really gonna, maybe if people watch this back and remember when I said that her father originally designed this for himself to wear, it's gonna probably get people more interested to see where the story goes. So
some do. Yeah. Okay. That was interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks,
everybody go to a Kickstarter tomorrow.
Yeah, so don't forget to actually go to Kickstarter at the project Bladeshot, which actually kicks off tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And very exciting stuff. August 9th. You really don't want to miss it. You really don't want to miss this opportunity to check out this comic and back it. Please back it.
As soon as it starts, I'll be posting it online and putting up the link. So
cool.
It'll be a lot easier to find. Really easy to find.
Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate that.
Of course.
And
always, and as always, check out Enrique's Instagram. Always great stuff. He actually has a poster of Codename Hunter issue 3 covered that he did for me. So you go to a convention, get a copy. All right.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for issue. I'm still waiting for issue 3. Issue 3. Issue 3. The printing issue.
I know. Unfortunately, I have to get all this these projects that I'm actually paid for to get out of the way. So everyone understands that. So trust me, I'm on the case, folks. I'm on the case. Anyway, it's great having you guys on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And as always, hit that like button and subscribe. This has been Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. I've been your host, Ian Miller. And have a good night, folks.